time for another Yasuke video. And honestly, this is very important here. This book over me is completely fake. It's fabricated. I've been saying that for years, not for months, for years, okay? It's never been true. And the guy that wrote it now is being fired. He's gone. He lost his job or something like that. He can't do anymore on TV shows in Japan. He has been exposed as a complete liar, right? And this is very, very important. Nothing to do with Ubisoft thing. This guy went to Wikipedia like in 15, read on Wikipedia, and then he wrote a book which is complete fabricated, and then referenced Wikipedia as a source, which was himself, right? He used himself as a source, and then he went back, and then he rewrote Wikipedia to reference his own book and so on. It's like a clear cheating, right? He cheated the system, right? And he's been exposed for it now. So today, breaking news now, a few hours ago, everything about this guy has been removed on the university where he worked at. Maybe isn't like fired, but they basically removed all of his reference to him, all the papers or whatever, right? And he had some kind of talk thing on NHK, which is a Japanese TV show or a broadcasting network, and they removed him there as well. So he's basically been fired, at least from the broadcasting TV network thing. And this is really big, right? This is much bigger than the Ubisoft game, whatever, right? This guy has been actively lying about a historical person, right? And now has been fired for it. That's a massive thing. It's much bigger than stupid game. And of course, that game itself, though, is based on his life story, right? Which is very important to talk about. So let's go into it in details. First of all, I want to point out, right, that I made my video about Yasuke, and I completely called it they were gonna make Yasuke gay, right? I said that they're gonna have Yasuke a waifu. Yasuke will very likely have intercourse with Oda Nobunaga or whatever, right? And yesterday, that exact news from Ubisoft are out now. The Ubisoft is gonna have Yasuke being gay or maybe trans or whatever in the game. And again, I called this thing, okay? I called it like months ago. I was like immediately, oh, they're gonna have Yasuke being gay, right? Because for them, it's always a package deal. I knew that they were gonna have this incredibly, vocifying Japan of having the only one black guy there. Of course, they're gonna go full package, right, and also make him gay or trans or whatever. Like, it's so predictable. That's why I think they are truly woke, right, in this negative way, because it's like, this is kind of boring, yeah, because woke people have the tendency, right, to always be full package. You have to be this, you have to be a vegan, you have to be this thing, you have the purple hair, you have to have the septic tank, blah, 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 you know what I mean? So it's just like, yeah, of course they're gonna make Yasuke gay, right? And that's what I said months ago. I called it immediately. I was like, Yasuke is gonna be Oda Nobunaga's waifu. So if you haven't seen my video, check it out. That, I think, one of my best videos I ever made, actually. And again, I'm calling this out immediately, right? I'm not saying it's anything bad being gay. I'm just saying that it's so boring and predictable, right? I'm just saying that, well, of course he's gonna be gay, right? Yeah, I'm just saying that it's predictable, right? It's boring, It's just like, well, of course the guy is gonna have sex with Oda, right? Because, yeah, what else are they gonna do with the storyline? What else happened since I made my last video? And I think I might make another video later, but everything is finished with the thing. Because honestly, the Yasuke thing is a gift that keeps giving, right? So you probably already heard that they stole, Zoro's sword from One Piece, right? And put it in the game or whatever. You probably heard about them using the wrong emblem, right? So if you have the Oda clan has one emblem, a sign, and a fire emblem, right? On the uniforms, on the banner and so on, they had the wrong one, and they had the mixer one, and then they had some so that's gonna be another video, guys, later. I'm honestly just waiting to see where it goes with, honestly, right? Because I don't know how to be like, this is crazy, because genuinely, the Yasuke thing is a gift that keeps giving. Like, now this guy got fired there, right? This is the main video here. I just want to point out that it really is like every week is a new scandal with Ubisoft. So now, I don't know if this is true or not, to be fair. I should admit it. I don't know, okay? I woke up and there's like 5,000 people saying that he's been fired, right? And the interesting, he's been removed now on university pays or so. Maybe he has tenure, so they can't just fire him, right? That's true. However, he was supposed then to be on NHK, which is a huge, it's like basically Nippon national TV, right, for Japan. And it's like the BBC, right, for Japan. And that thing now has been cancelled. So at least he's been fired from working on, Japanese television, so to speak. Now, of course, he might get another job, whatever, so to speak, on television. But currently, at least, he had a program, and that has been cancelled. So that's basically getting fired, right? Not from his full job, then, perhaps, from the university. But the university, then, has, erased his kind of stuff, right, So the guy basically got fired, right? And this is very important because he's been exposed as a liar, right? So important thing to consider is just a few days before this thing, he deleted everything about what he had said about Yasuke or whatever on social media. He deleted all of his Twitter, and he deleted everything basically he had over the years, right? Social media, Twitter, Facebook, whatever. Yeah, he's completely, went into hiding, right? And of course you can say that, oh, it's because people are, hating on him and sending him mess or whatever. And there is some truth to that, honestly. Of course, some people probably wrote him some bad stuff, right? There's truth in that. However, the much, much bigger truth why this guy suddenly deleted everything, right, is because he got exposed with the Wikipedia scandal, right? He himself was the guy behind Wikipedia. This has been proven. He's the guy that was the first guy to read Wikipedia back in 2015. He went back and read Wikipedia, saying that Yasuke was a samurai. And then he wrote a book about it, and then he used himself as a reference to all this kind of stuff, right? So that obviously, I would say, is the main reason why he went out, right, and deleted all of his social media accounts, right? Because he doesn't want people to be able to connect that he was the guy that was the first person to edit Wikipedia and lying on the facts there, right? I mean, it's so obvious, right? However, it's even worse than that. He also claimed that he would never play the Ubisoft game, and he never heard about his game. I'm not a nerd. However, it's also been exposed that he also made a podcast where he talked about the game, and he has said openly then that he has been in contact with Ubisoft, right? So it's kind of fun in that way too. Just before he was like, oh, I'm deleting my accounts because everyone is mean to me, and I never even heard about this game. And then it turned out he actually did work on the game, or at least been in contact with the game developer, right? And he knows about the game. So this guy is just full of BS. He lies all the time, right? I mean, honestly, he lies all the time. So in this book then, right, about the samurai, and I said this thing when this news was out, right? I said this thing very, very openly, and I wrote in this guy's YouTube channel, that I was very disappointed in Metatron. You probably know Metatron is, right? He's like one of YouTube's biggest historian guys now, like 1 million subscribers. He made videos about this thing. Metatron has been, defending Thomas Lockley before. I had the Michelle and so on. And I said it immediately. I said it like before the summer. I was like, Metatron to me disappoints me when he's lying about Yasuke and he's lying about Thomas Lockley, right? So I keep saying this. I've been calling out Thomas Lockley for years, okay? I said Metatron earlier too, yeah. I've been saying that it's terrible that all these YouTubers are pushing this Yasuke, the black only samurai and so on, right? Because the truth is that we know almost nothing about Yasuke. I made my own video about it explaining how he can't be a samurai, how it's objectively is a lie. But very basically here then, I say it again, right, why the guy isn't a samurai. But first of all, let me just debunk this terrible book, okay? Just completely debunk the Yasuke book. That, of course, again, the guy now is an exposed liar, but whatever. Let's just debunk the book once for all, okay? This book is almost like 500 pages, okay? It's like, you can basically write everything we know about Yasuke on like one page, okay? There's only a few lines that we know about Yasuke. Like, he was a black guy, went to Japan, went from Nobunaga, was his like sword carry guy. That's basically everything we know, right? And this guy writes like 450 pages about that guy. Come on, everyone understands this is all fiction. This is all you see up in his make-believe head, right? And this is even before, he also lied on Wikipedia and used himself as social. Even before knowing he lied about everything, you should have basic intelligence to understand that this book here is complete fiction, right? There is no way that thing. It's also very irritating because the title itself is legendary, right? Samurai. So I think one reason why people are so tired of it too, right, is because even if Yasuke was a samurai, absolutely nothing indicates that he actually was a good samurai. You know what I mean? I mean good as in skilled, whatever, yeah. There is absolutely zero evidence that even if he was a fighter generally, that he actually was good at it, right? Because Yasuke only spent like a year in Japan. You know how many years it takes to master the katana? I've been training martial art my whole life, right? And it takes like usually 6-7 years to get a black belt and so on. I've been doing Aido, Kabuto, whatever, so on, right? It takes many years, right, to master the blade, right? And not to be that guy, but I'm sorry, I don't think that Yasuke, if he was a samurai, has mastered the katana in a year, okay? The guy couldn't even speak Japanese, probably, basically, right? Because he wasn't doing it here. He probably had almost none of the typical whatever, kenjutsu, or other kind of martial arts skills that a samurai would have, right? Taijutsu and so on, whatever, yeah, body martial arts, karate, whatever you call it, right? This guy didn't have that. Why would he? He spent like a year in Japan, right? Like, it doesn't make any sense to believe that this guy actually was even a skilled samurai, if he was a samurai. Now, of course, the fact is that he never took part in any battle. Because there's only one battle he might have been in, which is the last battle that Honiji, where Oda lost and died, right? And then Yasuke surrendered immediately, right? So there's zero evidence of this guy actually ever having like beaten someone in a fight, or having any record of fighting or anything. If anything, he looks like a complete loser. And I mean, sorry, but seriously, right? The guy who surrendered, that's all we know, right? That is a dishonorable way if you're a samurai. That being said, and I said it in my other video too, right? I don't blame Yasuke for not fighting, for, surrendering. And I think it's very important to understand there. He's like the first famous black guy in Japan, right? He gets to work at Oda's court, and he runs around with his katanas or whatever. Then this guy dies, right? Why would you die for him? You've been in for a year. Why would you be honorably samurai, so to speak, and, I want to die for this Oda guy? No, you wouldn't. You would leave, right? So Yasuke's behavior to say, I'm not gonna do seppuku for this guy, that makes sense, because again, he wasn't a samurai. He had no actual feelings for him, probably. He was like, nice guy, but whatever, right? That's a much more reasonable way to live your life. Like, well, I'm not gonna just delete myself because this guy that I knew for a year, whatever. Yeah, this makes more sense that he wouldn't do it, right? But again, of course, also means that he wasn't a samurai. He didn't believe in Bushido. He didn't believe in the classic, Japanese culture or whatever. Like, again, why would he, right? Why would he? And the thing is that, and I said in my previous video, and I stand by saying that Yasuke now is gay in the game is actually kind of makes sense, though. Right? I mean, I kept saying, I said it before, they're gonna waifu him, right? And they're gonna have Oda and Yasuke actually being lovers. I said that, and honestly, that is probably true. It is like Oda Nobunaga had sex with men, right? That is proven. That is 100% true. And would he have intercourse with the only black guy? Well, probably, because he's the only black guy, right? So I actually do think that Yasuke had intercourse with Nobunaga. All the evidence points to that. However, does that make Yasuke gay? It actually doesn't, right? What it means is more that, well, you either take Oda's member, or you're dead, right? So he probably got odd by Oda Nobunaga. So if anything, the Ubisoft now is coming out saying that, well, Yasuke is gay now, or trans or whatever, right? That's a mockery. The guy probably got, sexually harassed, by Oda Nobunaga. That's the evidence, right? That's what actually everything points to. So he probably wasn't gay, but he probably did have Yaoi intercourse, right? Again, against his will. That's much more likely. And honestly, I keep saying it, but I said it before too, right? That making him gay is like, it's an insult, right? Because again, the guy probably was straight, but he was forced to be gay, right? You know what I mean? Think about that. Think about how insane it is that they take a character like Yasuke, that probably was, a slave, right? Or, I mean, he was a slave, but he was probably a sex slave to Oda Nobunaga. Oda Nobunaga, then, again, famous for having intercourse with men, right? Against their will. And then he has the one only black guy there. Of course, Oda Nobunaga probably did smash him, right? He probably did, smash him. Very likely so. But again, this is against Yasuke's will. Now this game comes out and it will be very progressive, so they make Yasuke gay. Well, that's like really, really horrible to think about it. If you actually think about it for a second, it's like, wait, isn't that really horrible? Because the guy was straight and he was forced to have sex with men against his will. Very, very problematic, seriously. I mean, honestly, isn't that really problematic? That Yasuke actually was forced against his will to do it? I don't know. I'm broken record, but for me it's so obvious that it's really, really insane to actually do that, right? But that's a progressive mindset for you. Now, what more can we say about this book here? Well, I think it's interesting in a general sense, because I remember when I was in grad school, and we actually had a professor that did the exact same thing as Thomas Lockley did. And she was like a professor of I'll say technology and like behavior science, because I have several degrees, right? One of my degrees in behavior science, and she was like a professor of behavior science, how humans interact with like technology or history or something like that. And it was just really, really weird. I mean, basically it was very woke. It was just like very, very strange. She was like motivating, and then they invented the car because women are weak. It was really weird. It was like really, really weird. She made some really, really weird things. And what I really remember for this thing so massively was that there was this research in, I think it was in Norway, on girls in coding, right? Because there are very few women that do coding, much more men. And then she made this really, really weird leap of logic that female coders are just much better than men, but, men are keeping them out of the business because all the men are afraid of female coders or something. So this was a serious professor, there was a thing, right? And she had all these arguments, here's all the books that, prove me right and so on, right? And I read her paper and her book, and I was like, this is the dumbest thing I read in my life. So I looked at all the sources, right? And she was all the sources. So everything she referred to that, I am correct. This book is also written by someone else. And it was herself. She kept referring to herself and saying that, well, this book proves me wrong, right? And then she also wrote other books. And it was so pathetic too, because instead of her writing her own name, as said by Sara Johansson in, 2005 or whatever, right? As you should do, you should write the full name, right? She would say like, as said by Johan et al. Or something. She wouldn't even write her own name. So she wrote a paper, right? Referring to herself all the time, like I said, many, many times. And then she wouldn't write her actual name. She wrote like a shorting of her own name. Because she obviously knew that she was lying and was referring to her own fake stuff. And she literally was referring to herself more than once in the same sentence, like different papers that she wrote. So she had 3 books she written, right? And she was referring to herself in different names. So she was like, Sarah said this thing, Johan said this thing, and I was like, Johan said this thing. But she's all the 3 authors. Like, she's written all the books. It was crazy. But she basically wrote this incredibly absurd book and papers about behavior science then, right? And constantly only referred to herself, right? And I exposed her, and I went to the principal, said this is the worst program in my life, and she had to retract it, right? I owned it. I owned that woman hardcore, man. It's the same thing here, right? This guy is doing the same shit, right? This guy is like, he's referring to himself. Well, Yasuke was a legendary black samurai because, Lockley Thomas said so. Aren't you that? No, I am Thomas Lockley. That guy is Lockley Thomas. You're like, aren't you the same person? Like, no! This is literally what he did. He literally went on Wikipedia, right? Used another name. His name is like Totori instead of Thomas, yeah. A Totori guy said that. Aren't you Totori? Oh, no! And then Totori guy is referring to Lockley, or like Lulukli. No, Lulukli said that. Okay, so you're all these guys, right? It's basically, he's a troll, He's just like the crazy troll guy. He's like the guy having 7 different accounts, and they all refer to each other. Like, well, this guy said it, It is insane. So I have seen this thing. This guy is not unique. You find these guys on university, like I said, this woman that I was supposed there, and they do it all the time, right? And it's not actually that uncommon. It's really, really sad. But I made this video here, right? Because it's really funny how this guy basically probably would get away with it, right? If Ubisoft didn't get in. Yeah, he basically got fired because Ubisoft owned him, right? Because when he did this stuff, he kept having his job. And they were making these animes, and no one really cared. It wasn't that big of a deal. Yasuke the anime, it was a terrible anime, whatever, yeah. No one really cared, right? But then Ubisoft went out and had to make, Yasuke is the main character, he's gay, and we don't like, white Asian people, and all this stuff, right? And Ubisoft had to make it a culture war thing. And what happens, of course, in the culture war, on both sides, of course, not only on the left side, or on the right as well, right? People get exposed, right? Because people are... When you get involved in the culture war, people try to find, this guy lying, what actually happened or whatever, right? So, of course, people figured out that Thomas Lockley was a complete liar, right? Yeah, they figured out everything he said was a liar, right? And he probably he would get away with it. It wasn't Ubisoft. Yeah, Ubisoft and Scooby-Doo his guy. Yeah, they basically exposed him by making him the focal point, right? And then lastly, the whole idea, too, that Yasuke would be gay, also didn't surprise me, because obviously the other expert they used, she's like, an expert on Yaoi stuff, with adult, yeah, she's an expert on, that stuff, right, as you know. She's a Funayoshi, as you call it in Japanese. So, yeah, the other expert is, she's a, hardcore Funayoshi, let's say that, alright? So, of course, she also gonna tell him that, Yasuke was gay, right? Of course she will. I'm not surprised by that for a second. That's kind of what I expected in that sense too, right? Oh yeah, one thing I said last clip, so I forgot to say it in my other video. It's just an obvious thing. It's like a familiarity of bloodless thing, but it's so incredibly obvious why Yasuke is not a samurai. And this is something that people have said, not only me, but I want to be very, very clear on this thing here. Why he's not a samurai? And I'm sorry I didn't say it in my first video. You see, when you're a samurai, right, you have a full name. Okay? If anything, one of the absolute biggest reasons that Yasuke is not a samurai is because his name is just Yasuke, right? We know that when the white guy, that William guy, when he went to Japan, he got to have a full name. He has a surname, he has a last name, right? Yasuke only has a first name, Yasuke. Samurais had two names. Normal peasants like Yasuke only had a first name. So the Yasuke has no record of him having a full name. No one else ever called him having two names then, right? That meant that he wasn't a samurai. That's something that people have to put on more on, but honestly, there's a very, very obvious thing why he can't be a samurai. Because, yeah, samurais have two names, okay? For example, similar to Swedish feudal system. So actually in Sweden, most people have that name like Johansson, Svensson and so on, right? Like son of Johan and so on. For example, my own ancestor was a famous general in the Swedish military, and he was successful, blah blah, so on, right? So the king then would grant him what's called a soldatnamn, a soldier name. So because of his successful in like the war and so on, right? The king gave him the name of like courage. So my last name is like, instead of being called like Johan Svensson, my name is like Johan Courage, because my ancestor got a title of that thing. And then my other ancestor is like a noble family. So my full name is like, you know, blah, 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 courage of this thing. So my full name is super long, okay? I have like 5 names, but my full name is incredibly long. Because my mom's side, I have like a soldier, like a famous war lineage. And on my dad's side, I'm like a noble family. So my full name is like courage of Gripen Shield, this thing. It's like super, super long. But it's very similar to Japanese society, right? Where Yasuke wasn't a samurai because he doesn't have a full name. He only has the first name Yasuke. Say with my ancestor, he had his name, instead of being called Svensson, he was like, you know, you're called Courage now because you reach the rank up to the king likes you, so you can have a better name now, basically, right? Same thing here. Oda didn't like Yasuke enough to give him a real name. He only had that first like Japanese name, so he can't be a samurai. That's something people haven't addressed enough of in this whole debate here, but it's very obvious actually. If you guys subscribe, press the like button, have a great day.